We're here with DeFi Dad. Super excited to interview you. I'm personally a massive fan from all of your tweets, from all of the alpha that you usually give out. Plus, I love your personal branding around DeFi Dad. So I guess just to begin, would love to ask you, in your opinion, what do you think defines a crypto native?
That is a good question. By the way, yeah, thanks for having me. Like really excited to just talk more generally about crypto and DeFi and all the cool stuff too that you guys are building with Pawn. Um, so what defines a crypto native? It's funny. I just yesterday I had this thought, which always ends up, they all end up in a tweet at some point. But every so often, especially during bear markets, you're like reflecting on, why am I here? what's my purpose in this space? What's the mission at hand? Have we lost sight of the mission? And I think one of the things that I really love about crypto, coming from a background in software, prior to that, like sciences, prior to that, growing up in a small business that my dad basically worked in since he was like in high school. Um, I love the fact that crypto is open and permissionless, meaning that anybody can get involved. You really just have to have the bravery, of course, to set up a wallet, connect through the internet, which is obviously a certain privilege in just having internet access and even having any tiny bit of money to be able to risk. Uh, but it's the fact that there's no credentials required. So if you look at like the traditional finance world, there's a lot there that is required to get involved. And if you didn't go to a university, for example, you're going to probably struggle to go work at a Wall Street firm. And so yeah, I've just been thinking a lot lately about the fact that there's so much that has been developed in terms of really powerful financial tools, new and fun sorts of applications like Web3 gaming, NFTs in general. But it all comes back to the fact that it is about you having the freedom to do what you want when you want with your money, your property, whatever it is, as long as it's a digitally scarce asset that lives on a blockchain like Ethereum. And so for me, a crypto native is, I think it's someone who just buys into that idea, like that sort of foundational goal of a level playing field that anyone can participate in. And I think what's really radical about our space is that there are a lot of builders, investors, users who come from very different backgrounds, but the level setting is when they got into crypto, which is why people very often say it's one of the goofiest things that is consistent in the crypto community. Everyone says, "Oh, I got in whatever year. I've been in Bitcoin since 2012. Oh, I learned about Ethereum in 2016, 2017. Oh, I got in during the bear market, actually." There's an instant sort of commonality in sharing that. So yeah, a crypto native is, I think also more important than anything is someone who is a user. Anyone who's been brave enough to hold any amount of crypto, whether or not it's in a self-custody wallet or in an exchange. Uh, I think there's some edge though to those who are actually using Web3 applications, who are brave enough to connect something like a MetaMask to an application and actually interact with the blockchain.
Love it. And to be honest, this kind of involves so many more people. And eventually, hopefully, we keep bringing in more people into interacting and transacting. Great, thank you so much for that. So, okay, so as a crypto native, obviously I have to ask you this question. What are some of the DeFi tools, strategies that you find yourself using? Would love to learn specifically around any trading, lending, borrowing, staking. Obviously, things have changed massively from DeFi 1.0 to like now, if you want to call it DeFi 2.0. But just really keen to know a little bit of whether it's just your strategies, alpha for like our viewers, our readers. It would be great to learn a little bit more.
Yeah, so not hard to answer that because I'm one of those people who keeps like 100 tabs open, and the tabs are like organized according to the stuff that I use most frequently. So I think starting from from square one, you need a wallet, and today most of us, I think still, well, at least I know those that are based in the US and I know a lot of like parts of Europe. It seems that the user base is mostly on desktop, even though I know that there's a swath of users in Asia that are mobile first. But with a wallet, you know, you need something like MetaMask that allows you to, you know, connect through a browser to any decentralized application. Uh, Another option, though, too, is a smart contract wallet or just a mobile wallet, something like Argent, which is really easy to use and just dummy proof in terms of being able to manage and, you know, securely store your tokens. So wallet is first. I would say that it is still important to establish some sort of relationship with a fiat on and off ramp, which has normally been a centralized exchange, a crypto bank, something like Coinbase or Kraken or Binance or whatever. Though that has been a necessary relationship, I think what's interesting is we're going to start to probably see wallets like Argent or these like neo banks that are very DeFi friendly that have direct on ramps and off ramps from fiat denominated checking and savings accounts directly to an L1 like Ethereum or Solana, but also then to Ethereum L2s. So that's been a real radical shift in the past year. One of the leading names there is Juno Finance has this insanely DeFi friendly wallet. By the way, I'm not invested in Juno, but I love using it, and I'll call out along the way here if there's anything that I'm invested in.
For sure. And
What
they're
was that?
based in India as well. Like they're super hardworking. I know that they're expanding in the US. Definitely hats off to all of the new features that they're launching all the time.
Yeah. It's that they have a great story too of the founders originally launched a money market for lending and borrowing back in like 2020, I want to say, like really like during the height of DeFi, you know, going more mainstream. And then I remember them, you know, walking away from this project. It was called Nuo, Nuo, and then they came out of the woodwork here in the last year or so that they've been working on this totally new idea, which is now Juno Finance. So wallet is most important. Having an established relationship with a crypto bank, which, you know, despite there's risk there, obviously, when you start to KYC and work with a crypto bank like a Coinbase. But I mean, I'll at least attest over the years, Coinbase for me has been one of the most DeFi friendly uh, centralized exchanges. From there, then I think it's a matter of you need to know where your money is at all times, how it's invested, and so an obvious tool then becomes something like a DeFi dashboard. I used to work at Zapper. Still am an advisor to Zapper. So Zapper still has one of the best DeFi dashboards for basically seeing where all your money is, whether it's just a token or whether it's, you know, lending on Aave or a borrowed position on Aave or some DeFi farm that you're in. There's also Zerion, there's DBank, Nansen now has a portfolio tracker. There's quite a few of them. And I actually think that those DeFi dashboards, that feature that I really see Zerion and Zapper as having been the trailblazers of, uh, that feature is, or that benefit is being absorbed by lots of different applications. Uh, so you've got your dashboard, and then just the simple use cases are, I mean, first and foremost is trading, being able to market swap any token for another token at whatever the current market price is. Um, I think one of the more powerful tools there is a DEX aggregator. So you can go and trade on Uniswap, or you can find the best rate across all the different automated market makers like Curve and Balancer, and so 1inch is, I think 1inch and CowSwap are two of the best places to get the best rates nowadays.
Okay.
And then from trading, it's lending. Lending is like a beloved use case because it's easy. It allows us to like continue to hold on to something that we're already long, like ETH, and be able to lend that and earn passive interest on it. After lending, or maybe even before lending, is staking, because actually staking is probably amongst all the different opportunities requires the least amount of risk. If you're holding ETH, or if you're holding an asset on another proof of stake blockchain, in order for the proof of stake consensus to work, you need these staked assets. And so long story short, you can use a liquid staking derivative like Steph by Lido for staked ETH, and you can earn, I think nowadays, like 5% or so, and you can still borrow against it, which is a really, I compare it to like, if you hold a stock, if you're long Google, what if you could borrow against that Google on something like Aave? And the truth is, you can do that. It's just that you have to have a certain level of wealth. You have to, jump through quite a few hoops in traditional finance to do that. But in DeFi, it's as simple as deposit these assets into Aave, and borrow from it.
Exactly. And there's no minimum
Right.
amounts, which kind of just makes it accessible to everyone, not just make the wealthy wealthier and the poor poorer, which is exactly kind of where DeFi wins. Great. So I guess just to finish off this question, is there one particular strategy, like whether it's staking, borrowing, lending, that you kind of just recently explored that you're kind of really bullish on at the moment, or are you kind of just doing a little bit of everything at the moment?
Yeah, I tend to spread bets across different opportunities in case one of those somehow implodes or blows up in my face. I think the one I'm most comfortable with now is staking ETH, because we're past the merge. So there's a lot of execution risk that we've overcome. So yeah, staked ETH would be top of my list. And if you're holding Sol on Solana, you should be holding a staked version of that. It's just so easy to be able to do that. But beyond the staking, the lending ETH was so incredible leading into the merge, because there was so much demand to borrow it. And there still is actually a lot of demand. So you can earn about 1% just on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say like my favorite beyond that is it's a mix of all of these. I want to hold staked ETH in a liquidity provision with ETH on Curve, earning the trading fees, earning the staking yield, staying long ETH, earning the token incentives that Curve pays, while also putting that into something like a convex or concentrator, so that it automates compounding those rewards. So anything that I can truly like, I can leave in a pool with billions of dollars that's dependent on as few parties as possible. I want everything to be as automated as possible, to be as predictable as possible, to not matter whether prices go up or down in the market. You know, one thing we called out there with lending is, I mean, if you lend on Aave and markets tank, uh, Aave should liquidate those who don't pay their loans, and hence your whatever you're lending should be safe. But the truth is if one of these things ever for some reason doesn't work, which thankfully it all has so far, it's performed very well under like the most intense stress tests with like 90+% market drawdowns. You know, that would put you in a somewhat compromised position. So anyways, yeah, staking, the lending, and then like just finding ways to combine those different use cases so that I can maximize it, earning as much passive yield as possible.
Got it. Perfect. No, that I love that. And there's a goal to that, earning as much passive yield as possible. Love it.
Yeah.
Great. Perfect. So the next question I have for you is what are some of the main issues that you currently see crypto natives are facing in today's financial ecosystem? So maybe you can sort of talk about some of the issues that you've personally faced and how are you mitigating these?
Yeah, I think okay, so there's a few different perspectives here I can think from. First is as a user, as a long time crypto investor, yeah, and I mean to say, I guess anyone who is here for at least, let's say, 5 years, not having been here, but their mindset is, I'm thinking at least 10 years out, which 5 years feels like many decades in crypto. Um, if I'm thinking that far out, I mean, the hard thing is just the volatility in between there. You know, so for example, Ether hit an all-time high, I think, of around 4,800 US dollars, and now it has drawn down since back in June. It drew down to as low as around 890, which I think was like an 85% drawdown. Now it's up to 1,600. So, you know, anyone who bought around that low is up almost 2x. But most people, having bought during like the height of the bull run, those people who did are down a lot, and it's just hard. That's hard to like buy something and watch it go down in value that much, because for most of the lifetime of crypto, we've been in a large bull run, you know, in the stock market or global sort of like traditional finance markets. And so we've had our ups and downs in crypto, and we've had these 90+% drawdowns. But meanwhile, everything outside of crypto has, you know, continued to chug along and do pretty well. It's interesting because now we're in a world where we aren't watching everything around us do well and having to simply just defend crypto. And in fact, a lot of stocks look like a crypto market right now because they're down 70, 80, 90% in some cases. So yeah, I'd say as a user, it's just really important that we continue to try new applications, even if you don't transact, just exploring it to understand that, okay, now with the work that you and your team are doing, now I don't have to just hold NFTs. Soon enough, I'm going to be able to borrow against a basket of NFTs. And that is a huge use case that was unlocked in DeFi with just, you know, standard sort of ERC20 tokens, being able to borrow against something that you're wanting to sit long for a very long time. On the flip side of this, so there's the user, the average sort of like investor, which, you know, most of us always wear that hat. You know, like you never get away from like your roots, hopefully there. I think more recently, we work with a lot of founders at Fourth Revolution Capital. We have a fund that we've invested in about 50+ teams across DeFi, NFTs, Web3, gaming, and media. And So these are founders that they've probably, most of them have raised like a few $1 million at least. About half the teams we've invested in have a token, the other half don't have a token. So the ones without a token right now in this market are doing really well. They're feeling really good because there's a lot of distractions to having a token that they don't have to worry about,
They're
even though they
building
had lots of pressure on them.
for sure.
What was that?
Sorry, they're building right now, so they are
They're
kind
building,
of
yeah.
head down, building, not worrying about what like sell pressure or anything like that at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. Like your team's a perfect example. You're building really valuable utility, but you don't have to worry about the market mispricing your token and tanking it too low. Now, on the flip side, a year ago and before that, prices were sky high and we were mispriced, but to the upside.
Yeah.
And so that was nice for a lot, but what goes up eventually does come down or correct at least some. Can't go up forever, despite what everyone wishes for. And so from a builder perspective, I mean, it's nuts because there's so many cool ideas, innovations, new protocols being created. And so like there's lots of NFT based applications beyond just buying something that you think is cool and holding it in your wallet because you think it might be worth more someday or that you can sell it to someone for more money. Like there's real applications there. Like one good example is there's sort of this emerging world of Web3 social media where you rebuild social media as we know it, but with a decentralized tech stack. And NFTs plays an important role in that because, for example, if I put out a short form post or like a tweet on something like Lens, that comes in the form of an NFT that others can potentially collect. I don't think that's the assumption for most of us that like tweets are going to be that valuable, but there's a chance, and it's at least possible now for someone to collect a tweet and for the person who created it to even earn a fee from that. So, anyways, builders I think are living a pretty good life. I feel badly for there is a class of founders who just launched a token at the wrong time. They launched it at the height of 2021, and their token has been sold off to a point that again it's mispriced. It's just it's down because the whole market's down and everyone's looking to sell what's in their wallet to pay down debts. The final perspective then is, so we covered users, we've got the builders. Within the builders too, I want to say that's like all of our developers, not just the founders. Anyone that contributes to a team. The final one is like really like the bigger capital allocators. The venture funds, could be angels, could be investment DAOs, which kind of lives in a similar chaotic place to where the founders are. Some raised money at the height of the bull run and they're living a fantastic life right now. They're looking at prices down 90%. They could market buy something, but many are looking to invest in early stage promising, projects. And then you've got others that, are down a lot because their portfolios down because again everything else is down like we talked about, and that can take a mental toll, of course. But I will say I have met more just like world class types of founders in the last few months than ever before. There was a lag there, like from early spring. If you talk about like last November, December to early spring, it really felt wrong trying to find new teams to invest in. Everything was overvalued. It felt like there was a lot of copying and pasting, very low effort types of raises going on, even though there's obviously quite a few really talented folks in there too. And then during the market crash, I mean, just everybody just whatever is living through that, and you're not seeing as much activity, you're not seeing as many pitches. But then in the last few months it's so exciting. There's so many talented creatives who have come over from the traditional gaming space who are like, they're trying to build a new game that they would have built in the legacy gaming world, but they're seeing some of the benefits of using some tokens or NFTs in the game. And so they're basically going to build the game that they wanted to build, but with some added benefits there. And so that's really promising for the gaming space. The DeFi space, there's just been so much innovation already that we were due for a sort of like a correction before more new innovations could come forth. And so that's been really reassuring. It's nice to see net new ideas now coming forth there. And then everything in between, the intersection of DeFi and NFTs, the intersection of Web3 and AI, the intersection of Web3 and media. We're living through like a boom right now in terms of fundamentals. So I would just tell everyone, like, be patient. It's going to take some time for the markets to obviously correct. We can't overcome, all of the bonehead moves by, different governments in the world, and whether or not you agree with the Federal Reserve and how they've handled it, and all the inflation that we're all facing because of mismanaged fiat currencies. At the end of the day, I know what I know, and these founders are building really cool ideas, and it's real utility, and it's sticky, and it's not going to take 10 years for this stuff to be useful to anyone. This is, a year out before you start to see some really promising new ideas come to market. And in 5 years, I can't even think out 5 years at this point, because there's just so much coming in such a short amount of time. So yeah, you should be excited.
For sure, for sure. And you actually automatically answered one of my kind of questions, which was all around like, what are you kind of most excited in DeFi leading up to the bull run? The other question I have for you, so we've got about 5 minutes left for the interview. So I guess this is a really sort of interesting question. Can you imagine a future where digital assets will be used to back a 15-year mortgage and owning real estate? So I think this kind of comes into a really interesting example. You can use DeFi, you can use your digital assets to buy, in real life kind of assets like houses, for example. So I would love to know your opinion about that and whether you imagine a world like that.
Yeah, it's like, here's a good example of like a fantasy future that we've all sort of talked about, where they're traditional financial use cases and instruments that will be that much more capital efficient, that hopefully can provide for like better rates, and again can be that much more accessible to that many people. It's already there. Like, I just reviewed a project the other day that's building in stealth that has fixed term loans that will be auctioned off peer to peer. So I mean to say that, like, these are fixed term loans that could be 1 year out, could be 5 years out. Obviously, the goal is to eventually have 10, 15 years and so on. And so this is adult DeFi. This is definitely DeFi that really looks a lot like traditional finance, but it's making use of all of the money Legos that we love in DeFi. You've got, folks like Maple Finance has originated almost 2 billion in loans now, and they've got the ability now to basically allow anyone to run their business lending to market makers and other sorts of crypto institutional borrowers. But they have the power of pooling all that capital on Maple, without having to ask permission. I can go in there, connect my wallet, deposit USDC or DAI or whatever, and then there's someone running that pool who's issuing the loans, and I can see it dispersed on chain, and I can track the stats around that and whether it gets paid back or not. So, anyways, long story short is, like, all of the puzzle pieces are like coming together there. A house sold as an NFT on the blockchain recently. I think it was a house in like South Carolina or Georgia or something like that, in the United States. It was a house that was about $200,000, and $200,000 is more than twice the value of the home I grew up in, but I can tell you that that value is, pretty small in comparison to how much NFTs sell for. So it makes a lot of sense that like that ownership can be transferred using something like an NFT. The issue, of course, with all of this is, and we'll get better with this over time, is how does digital scarcity and property rights that are assured through a blockchain, through DeFi, how does that translate to the real world? And like the short answer to that is, well, you need the real world. You need more of it to have time to adopt to coming on chain. And by the way, too, not everything will come on chain. We don't want everything to, but I think the house is a great example. One day I will probably be able to buy a house, a condo, whatever, the old fashioned way. It'll still be, lots of middlemen and lots of paperwork, but there will be alternatives. And I think that those alternatives to buy, let's say, a house through the use of an NFT will save a lot of time and money. And that will drive more adoption. The saving time and money, that's what drives, people to actually overcome like the barriers of getting accustomed to a new technology. I mean, it's money at the end of the day. They're going to want to make more money, save more money.
Absolutely. Time and money will get rid of the middle people, the middlemen, and then from there onwards, it's great. All right. So just that final question. Well, I guess if you want to add anything to this final question around what are you most excited about and DeFi leading up to the next bull run, if you could give me 30 seconds in a summary of what you're most excited about.
Yeah, I think it's DeFi at the intersection of a lot of things. Like we talked about NFTs. There's actually DeFi powered by AI, which is like a wild use case. Like basically the AI replaces lots of manual, like human created algorithms. So better DEX aggregators, all sorts of just every decision that happens that was coded by someone. The question is like whether that could be better executed by a smarter AI resource. And then, it's all of the traditional sort of use cases that, have yet to come on chain that will just allow that many more people to benefit from DeFi. I think like, honestly, over the last few months, watching the trading volume on GMX and Gains Network and a few other trading platforms like long-term builders like Synthetics, you just realize that why would people not opt to be able to trade permissionlessly 24/7, whatever they want, whenever they want, with also lots of leverage? Like let's not like sugarcoat it. Leverage is leverage is powerful, and it shouldn't be used by everyone, but that's for them to decide. That's not for us to decide.
Absolutely.
So, that's what DeFi enables. It allows you to like truly be in control. If you want to go like trade 150x leverage on small price movements, like go right ahead. Exactly. But like no one should be there to say you're not capable of it or smart enough to be able to do it. Losing money is a great way to learn a lesson. Like let people do what they want.
Absolutely. I think I learned the most with Luna, with Terra. I learned the most with many of these.
Quick lessons there. Very quick lessons there.
Definitely more than a degree for sure. But thank you so much for this interview. It was a pleasure to speak to you. we're going to just make sure that we kind of publish this. We're going to write it up. We're going to tweet about it, everything. But really appreciate it, and definitely hope to stay in touch with you. And as kind of things develop, etc., we could always do a follow-up from there.
Absolutely. And by the way, if you're watching this in the future, please get in touch with me and my team go to Fourth Revolution, FOURTH, fourthrevolution.capital. Love to partner with you if you're raising. And then second, if you want to find me or get in touch with me, just go to DeFiDad.com, and there's links to Twitter and LensTube, YouTube, everything else there. So anyways, thanks so much though.
Thank you so much, DeFi Dad. Really appreciate it. And we will be in touch with you soon.
Thanks so much. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Absolutely. Thanks.